In this video, we're gonna be talking about planning for your spring garden. We're gonna be covering starting seeds, when to start seeds, transplanting, and just some general pro tips and guidelines so you can have a successful garden this year. Step number one is to decide what you wanna grow. Like, do you wanna grow some potatoes or tomatoes or some peppers or squash, zucchini? Do you wanna grow some cool season vegetables? Cool season vegetables are the ones you're gonna start first. And these are going to include things like spinach and lettuce and head lettuce and cauliflower and carrots or Swiss chard or mustard seed or cabbage. And there's plenty of others. The warm season vegetables, some you might start now, which we're in the month of February. Some you're going to start next month. And some you're just going to keep starting out throughout the year if you want to keep growing them. They're going to include things like peppers and bell pepper, you gotta love bell pepper. Squash, corn, cucumbers, cantaloupes, beans, and watermelon. The second step is to start your seeds. And the first thing you're gonna want to do is look on your seed packet on the back, and there's gonna be a days to germination. And what you're gonna do is reverse engineer how many days it's gonna take to get a harvest. So if you wanna be picking squash in June, and this is a 60 days to maturity crop, then you're probably going to want to start them in April or maybe a little bit sooner, because you got to allow about a week to 10 days for germination. Let's talk about growing cool season vegetables. I'm here in Shelby, North Carolina, Zone 7B, and we start our seeds in the months of February and March, and we grow that crop through the cool season, which is going to be April, May. By the time you get to late June, July, August, it gets way too hot, so we take a pause, and then we grow the cool season vegetables again in the fall. So we might start some more cool season vegetable seeds in August and September. Now, if you're in a warmer zone, like say somewhere in California, you might be starting your cool season vegetables in January. And if you're in a colder zone, heck, you might not be starting your cool season vegetables until April. Remember, cool season vegetables can tolerate light frost, but never freezing temperatures. Warm season vegetables, however, do not tolerate any frost and only should be planted in the ground when the ground temperatures are 60 degrees or more. Now here in Zone 7, we have a long growing season. So when it comes to starting warm season vegetable seeds, something like this cayenne pepper, it takes 85 days to get to maturity. So we might go ahead and start these now in late February, baby them in starter trays, and then plant them in late April when the ground temperatures receive 60 degrees or more. Now let's look at the tenderette bush bean. I planted some of these all the way in September last year, and I was able to harvest 3 times before the first frost because we didn't get any frost until November. So there's going to be a long range of times when you can plant warm season vegetables according to your zone. Often what happens around here is our customers will plant vegetables in the 3rd or 4th week of April. Everything's great, we have warm temperatures, and then a late frost will come maybe that 1st or 2nd week of May. And in that case, especially with a warm season vegetable, you're going to want to make sure to cover with a sheet or a row cover to keep the frost off of that vegetable plant. Otherwise, destruction will happen. Next, you'll want to decide, do I need to start my seeds directly into the ground, or do I want to use a starter tray? Well, for most cool season vegetables, you're going to want to use a starter tray because the seeds are tiny. They can get lost if you just put them in the ground. And starting them in a tray like this will allow you to assess germination, uproot them, transplant them in something like these starter cell packs, and then you can transplant them into the ground later on when the soil temperatures are appropriate and you're safe from freezing temperatures. Some warm season vegetables can be started directly into the ground. That's called a direct sow, or maybe directly sown into a starter tray. Others, you would want to use maybe a starter tray. Don't have to be a tray, it could be a solo cup with soil in it. Let's look at these cayenne pepper seeds. See how they're very, very tiny? Now look at those compared to, let's say, a green bean seed. Look at the size difference. On these larger seeds, such as the green bean seed, or even the squash seed, let's check it out compared to the cayenne pepper. See how much larger that is? Those can be started directly into a starter tray or the ground. The smaller seeds, like the cayenne pepper or tomato seeds is a good example, eggplant seeds is a good example. Those I would sprinkle out onto a starter tray, let them come up, and then transplant into cell packs. So with your larger seeds, you can pretend like this is the ground or an actual starter pack, which is what it is. I would lay the seeds on top, and I would push them down to about my first knuckle. To about there, to about there. I'd cover them back up. That's how you plant larger size seeds. Now the smaller size seeds, like the cayenne pepper for example, I would sprinkle out onto the tray, however many you want to grow, maybe, you know, spaced about an inch apart, and then I would cover them lightly with soil, and then you keep this soil moist, and that will get them to germinate. Now let's talk about caring for your seedlings. If you're lucky enough to have a greenhouse like this, you can definitely plant them in here and get an early start. But if you want to plant them inside your house to get an early start, you certainly can. Just make sure they're getting enough light. So this means putting them in a south-facing window, or maybe using the help of some grow lights. Seedlings also need moisture, and seedlings don't like to be soaking wet. They just like for their soil to stay moist. That's why I love using a spray bottle to keep everything moist without becoming overly saturated. Now, if you do decide to use a hose with a nozzle on it, just be careful not to overwater. Seedlings are kind of like babies. They need a lot of care. They need a lot of special attention. They don't want to become overly moist or overly dry. Moving right along, what can you be doing while you're transplanting, or you're growing your seedlings, or you're waiting for your seeds to germinate? Well, you can be prepping your garden beds. Each year that you garden in your beds, the soil gets very depleted. Vegetable plants suck out all the nutrients, and you gotta add back in some compost. Now, what I have today is a product called Kickin' Chicken. It's a compost blend of aged cow manure and chicken manure. It's locally, it's made right down the road in Hickory, North Carolina. I'm not promoting this company, not sponsored by them. I'm sure you can find something comparable at your local garden center. And you can also find things like mushroom compost or worm castings. Even good potting soil can work as compost. Or maybe you've composted some table scraps and old plant vegetation. Now's a good time to put that in your beds. And what I like to do is top dress about 2 or 3 inches. And then this will absorb down, break down into the soil, and then your vegetable plants can absorb all the nutrients. Now let me give you a pro tip. Last fall, I made a video demonstrating how right after your fall crops are over with, you can go ahead and add compost. I think I did this around the month of November, and this gives your compost enough time to break down all winter so that it can be really absorbed by your plants the following spring. Also, you can use the fallen leaves in the fall months as a mulch, and these leaves keep weed seeds from blowing in and germinating, and it suppresses any weeds that might already be in there, and it also will further break down and turn into compost as well. Now, there are other forms of mulch that you can apply, before, after, or during the time of planting, such as pine bark mulch or some weed-free straw also works good. The important thing is that you mulch, because this is going to lock in moisture, and it's going to protect your soil from the burning rays of the sun and drying it out. Not to mention, you're going to be doing a lot less of, to get those pesky weeds, because mulch is going to suppress these, and you're going to be doing far less weeding. All right, now let's talk about transplanting. When you've got your little starter plants going, these are some strawberries that we've growing out here at the nursery, and you're ready to transplant, you want to make sure there's plenty of roots. So when I pop this out of the container, you can see there's tons of healthy white roots. This is not root bound at all. This could go straight into the ground or your raised bed. If it was a little bit root bound, which means these roots were winding and they were very thick and maybe it stayed too long in this container, then I would comb them out with my fingers. But this is a perfect time to transplant. It's right in the sweet spot. This would be good to go. What do we do before we get to this stage where we have our plant that's ready to put into the ground? What if we just have our seedlings and we need to transplant them into a starter tray? Well, I have some seedlings here that are ready. You can see they've got multiple leaves on top. I usually wait until I see 3 leaves. These have 4. Now this is not vegetable plants. I'm just using it as demonstration. These are actually a type of sunflower. I've got my starter tray here. I'm gonna go ahead and wet the soil. It just makes it a little bit easy for what I'm about to show you. Now this is my fancy planting stick 2.0. I'm just gonna make little holes into the cells. And then I'm gonna scoop out these seedlings. Again, these have multiple leaves on top. That's how I know they're ready. Also, you can see those white roots. Isn't that beautiful? And I'm gonna plant these pretty deep. So you see there's a lot of stem there. To keep these from stretching too much and getting leggy, I'm gonna plant them as deep as I can, almost up to the top of the leaves, and just cover the soil back up gently. Dig another one out here. It's got some nice white roots. I don't want to disturb the root ball too much. And then I'm going to stick it down into the starter tray. Now from here, I'm going to grow these until we have like when I showed you on the strawberry plant, where there's nice white roots. That's what you want to see coming out of these cell packs. And once you have roots coming out, that's when you know it's time to plant. Have you ever heard of hardened plants or tender plants? Well, this is very important to know because tender plants have pretty much spent their whole lives inside a controlled environment. And if you go from a place like a warm greenhouse or your house and you plant them straight into your yard where they're more exposed to the elements, they can actually go into shock. Whereas hardened plants have had a little bit of time to acclimate. So if I had these growing in my starter trays, I might during the day would put them outside given that it's warm and then bring them back in at night just to kind of get them used to the environment. That will harden them off, so to speak, and get them ready for planting. Typically, it only takes a few days to a week to get your plants hardened off. That's exactly what we're about to do with these strawberries. They're pretty much ready for planting, but they've not had any time to be outside. So we're gonna move those outside, monitor them. If it gets cold, we might bring them back inside. That way, when the customer gets to the part where they're gonna plant this, it doesn't go into shock. All right, let's move on to some seasonal care, and we can't talk about seasonal care without talking about fertilizing. Now right here's some Biotone starter fertilizer. I like to use it on all of my vegetable plants because it's organic. I ain't gotta worry about burning anything. Now there's other good options out there. It's just what I have with me today. And I've got some strawberries. Now we have warm weather for it to be February. We've had extremely warm weather actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant these in the ground. They should be fine. And when I do so, I'm gonna dig my hole out here. I'm gonna put in a little handful of this Biotone to go right along with it. Smells like poop, honestly. So there we go. Now, when it comes to fertilizing, I'm probably gonna hit these 2 to 4 more times throughout the season, just depending on how rich my soil is. It might need a little more, might need a little bit of less. And if you're at home using synthetic fertilizers, be careful with those because those can burn your plants if you use too much. The nitrogen levels get too high, the salt levels will rise, and your plants will end up burning. I personally like to keep it as organic as possible, so I use fish emulsion fertilizer, believe it or not, in the liquid form. I've actually made several videos on this and how to use it. If you're interested, you can go back and watch those. But it's a good way to fertilize your plants, give them the nutrients they need without burning them. When it comes to watering, generally speaking, young plants need to be kept moist but not soaking wet, and you should never let them dry out. But more mature plants, well, they should be watered deeper and more thoroughly. And this will really encourage the roots to grow down deep, and this is going to create a much more stable and healthy plant in the long run. Finally, make sure wherever you're planting your garden that it gets at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight, if not all day sun. So if you're planting too close to a house or too close to a tree line, your garden could get shaded out, and this is going to create unhealthy and stretchy, leggy looking plants. Well, there you go, folks. That's the end of this video. I really hope this helped you to plan for your spring garden. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them down below. I'm going to work really hard for the next 48 hours to get to all the questions that are asked, and let me know if I left anything out in this video. Hey, also, if you like this content and want to see more of it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And until next time, become a plant person.